there's a lot of things you could be doing. That's why we appreciate when you take the time to join us in the trenches with Dave Lapham, brought to you by First Star Logistics. And as always, we're coming to you from the studios that they provide for us, which are second to none. The studios are one of one, the best of the best. And so is our special guest for this particular podcast, none other than the great Dan Pitcher, who is one of one, very special. They broke the mold after they created Dan Pitcher as a football coach. Coach, you've done great things here in Cincinnati. I mean, you've done a lot of things in Cincinnati, as well as have had a myriad of responsibilities in terms of scouting and breaking down tape and getting ready for drafts and putting together game plans, calling plays, everything. I mean, soup to nuts and everything in between. Your experience and your exposure to all of these different roles and the experience that's given you in such a short period of time, it's rare. I mean, have you ever thought about, how rare that is, that all the things that you've done in such a short period of time of your brilliant coaching career?
Well, before I talk about anything I've done in my short time at Cincinnati, I just wanted to congratulate you on an incredible honor with the Ring of Fame and all the things you've done in Cincinnati over not such a short time. I just think it's awesome that you're getting recognized and so well deserved, and you've been such a big part of this organization for so long. Since I've been here, obviously, and a long time before that, man. So it's a hell of an honor, and congratulations.
Appreciate it, Coach. I mean, when you're a young buck thinking about playing the game, you don't really think about awards necessarily and things that you might be able to achieve, and being able to get into the Ring of Honor for the Cincinnati Bengals is like, man, mind-boggling. It's like I can't believe it actually happened, and that's what my grandkids are saying. Geez, buddy, they call me buddy, obviously. I can't believe you're in the Ring of Honor. I said, hey, let me tell you something. Neither can I. I'm probably more surprised than you are. How's that? It is, because I think of all the, great players and great coaches that I've rubbed elbows with and gone out in the football field trying to win football games with, been in meetings with, and prepared for games against great opponents in the National Football League with. Man, it's just almost incomprehensible that I'd be in the Ring of Honor. There's so many players and coaches, great players and great coaches that should be in there. And now there were 10 players before our selection, Lamar Parrish and I. Now there's 12. Just 12 players out of all the guys that have come and gone here with the Cincinnati Bengals. It's just can't wrap my arms and mind around the fact that I'm one of the 12 that's in there. It is crazy, Coach.
Well, it's awesome, man, and congratulations. And we're gonna make sure it's a hell of a day for you. I think it's that Jets game.
Yes.
We got a lot of work to do before then, but you can be sure we'll make sure that's a great day.
Yeah, I look forward to it, man. There's nothing that I enjoy more than watching the Cincinnati Bengals. I was fortunate enough to play with them for 10 years. I mean, that was a dream come true. I mean, every kid, once you start playing the game, your ultimate goal is to play at the highest level for as long a period of time as you can. And man, I was fortunate to get those those desires satisfied, and then to be in the broadcast booth for 40 years. I mean, that's crazy. 40 years. Sheesh. Season coming up, number 40, and it's just, when I think back on it, I just immediately, all the great seasons come to mind that the football team has had, and all the great players and coaches that put those seasons together and performed at the levels that they did to make those seasons happen. It's just, in my mind, football is the greatest team sport there is, Coach. I mean, everybody doing.
I'm not going to argue with you there.
I mean, everybody doing their job to the best of their ability for the betterment of the football team. I mean, it's that simple. And that's what Paul Brown was all about. Do your job. If you do your job the way you're supposed to do your job, we're going to be okay. If all of us, everybody that's on the football field at that particular time does exactly what they're supposed to do, the Cincinnati Bengals are going to win. And they're going to win a lot of good football games. They're going to win a lot of football games against good football teams. And that's tough to do in the National Football League. It sounds simple, but it is true. If you do what you're supposed to do and don't make a whole lot of mistakes in so doing, you get a shot, don't you, Coach?
Amen.
Yeah, I mean, so I think that's what's so great about this football team. You got a bunch of great football players, but have an immensely high football IQ, and you can do a lot of things with that. There's a bunch of things as a coaching staff that you guys can do with all that's being given to you to work with. All these talented players and their ability to absorb game plans and changes that might be necessary during the course of the game with respect to that game plan and everything. But Paul Brown, back to his methodology or his idea, is keep it simple. It's like don't overload the players with too much to think about, and allow them to show their talents. The old KISS theory, keep it simple, stupid, and if I'm know what I'm doing, the guy next to me knows what he's doing, and the team is going to be in pretty good shape if all 11 guys have that approach. And you don't want to be the one to let your team down. You don't want to be the one that caused your teammate right next to you problems because you didn't know what the hell you were doing. And there's no excuse for that. You shouldn't be out in the football field if you don't know what the hell you're doing. And I look at this football team, Coach, and I see immensely gifted, physically gifted, and talented players, and I also see high IQs, man. A lot of smart football players on this roster. Am I pretty much on target?
Yeah, I think everything you just said there is who we are and what we strive to be about. And we have a collection of very talented guys who are also the types of pros and the guys that are going to put the work in to prepare, and they're trustworthy. Their teammates trust them and their coaches trust them. And we have guys that are at varying stages of that scale. Some have our complete trust implicitly. Some are on their way to earning that, and we'll use them accordingly. But I do think everything you just said is true, man. You gotta know what to do, and you gotta do right by the guy that's lined up to your right and to your left, because we all gotta be pulling in the same direction. And one of the things we talk about is the illusion of complexity. So we do a lot of things that try to make life hard on the defense, but we strive like hell to make sure that we're still within that box of simplicity for our guys. And that box maybe is a different size for everybody, for different positions. And that's our job. That's what we have to do as coaches, is make sure that we're tailoring it to the strengths of our individual players, not overloading any one guy, but also pushing them to give us their best and to maybe expand what they can do. So that's the fun part, man. That's why every day is different. That's why you come with energy to work every day. And we got a lot of fun guys to work with.
Man, so well said, Coach. Man, you're a smart guy, and your word choice is always right on. The illusion of complexity, but strive for simplicity. I mean, you can't. That's going to win you a lot of football games. I mean, when you think about it, when you boil it down, that is what it's all about. And I love your words about making it tough mentally for the defense. You want to put a strain on them in terms of, man, what are they going to do next? Oh, geez, they came out in this formation, this personnel grouping, and they motioned to this. And oh my God, what are they going to do now? Because they can do something else. What is it going to be? When's the other shoe going to drop? And they get a little bit of angst, going, a little bit of uncertainty in their mindset. And now it's like, boy, should I trust my preparation? All week long, I've been this is what they're going to do. This is how they're going to do it. This is why they're going to do it. Now I'm not so sure, man, because look at all this stuff they're doing. And it looks like it's a ton, but like the illusion of complexity, striving for simplicity, it's not. It's not really a ton. It's like a lot of window dressing, a lot of things that that you're trying to keep them, off balance, not plant 2 feet in the ground as such. But, when all is said and done, so you're doing a handful of things, a bunch of different ways, but you're doing those handful of things extremely well, aren't you?
Yeah, no, that's the goal. And I think you just said something that's critical too, in that, we know we're every week we're up against really smart coaches and really smart players. You don't get to be here at this level. We pride ourselves. We think we're the best staff, and we think we have the best players. But you could interview the offensive coordinator from 31 other teams. He's going to tell you the exact same thing, right? Because everyone's putting the work in. Same
Yep.
on the other side of the ball.
Yep.
So a part of our job is to know ourselves and to know, put ourselves in the shoes of the players and the coaches that are studying us. And what can we do that, can plant a seed of doubt in their mind, right? They study us. They think this formation is going to lead to this thing or things. This motion is going to lead to this thing or things. And if we know that about ourselves too, now you can start to sprinkle in little things early in a game, and late in a game, whatever it is that, oh man, all week we practiced, this looked like this, and man, I could trigger, and now we're going to do something just a little bit different that might put that seed of doubt in your head. And, that's the goal. And it's easier said than done. And like I said, everybody's trying to accomplish the same thing. But, it's about your process. It's about how you teach. It's about your organization, and trying to make sure it's all packaged in a way that your guys can go out and execute. Because once the whistle blows, man, we don't play. We're not out there. We need smart guys, critical thinkers, problem solvers, who can go do the work.
Critical thinkers, problem solvers. Love it, Coach. Love your phraseology, man. I mean, it says everything in just 2 words. I mean, it's the process is a big deal. Having players with football IQ, that are able to comprehend and understand your process and the changes that have to take place while you're implementing that process, be it the game plan or whatever. In that particular week, you have to have intelligence, like we talked about earlier. You have to have football IQ. Raw intelligence is great too, but football IQ is a must. And I think the Bengals have the best quarterback in the National Football League. I also think he's the smartest quarterback in the National Football League. And I do think that you guys do a phenomenal job of arming him with everything that he needs to have to be able to break down these opposing NFL defenses that are as good as there is in the world. I mean, they're well put together. They're well constructed. They have tremendous personnel. The coaches know what they're doing, how to do it, how to change what they're doing and why they need to change what they're doing. I mean, it's a chess match. Every single week is a high-level chess match. And to have smart football players that understand that and understand the responsibilities with that, I think is paramount to success. And you guys have done a great job of bringing not only talented football players physically into this organization, but talented football players mentally. I mean, you got a bunch of smart dudes. And number 9 is Menza. He might be the smartest of the bunch. How good is the feeling that you have when you're game planning and Joe Burrow's the quarterback that's going to be executing that game plan, and that nothing is going to be too big for him. You know that he's going to have a complete and total understanding of everything that you're trying to get done to beat that football team.
Yeah, I mean, it empowers you as a coach to really search out. We talked with Joe when he came into the league, right, and really with all quarterbacks, right? You always want to make sure that they have an answer at their fingertips. Like that's the baseline. If a guy's out there and he's floundering and there's something presented to him and he doesn't know what to do and he freezes in the moment, that's the worst feeling you could ever have as a coach, right? So the first thing is you have to give him an answer. And then as a player progresses and he learns and he grows and he gains confidence and he sees more football, what you hope that he can get to is the best answer in the moment. So you try to graduate from an answer that allows you to survive the down to the best answer that gives you the best chance on that down to attack the defense.
That's awesome.
And so what we think we've gotten to with Joe Burrow is a place where quite often we're getting to the best, what we believe to be the best answer based on our players and their skill sets. It might not be the best answer for another team or another quarterback or another group of skill players or what have you, but we've tried to give him the tools to get to the best answer. And Joe's role in that is critically important because we need his feedback, and he feels totally comfortable giving it to us. And so we never want to demand out of him something that doesn't click for him, that doesn't make sense, because it has to click so fast and the processing has to occur so quickly that even if it sounds like a great idea to me or to any of our other coaches, to Zach, if it doesn't click for Joe, we either have to get him to a place where it does click or recognize that maybe we just have to do something else. And he needs to give us that feedback. And he's done such a good job of that over the course of his career. So yeah, man, it's fun when you have somebody like that who can take in the information like he can, give you valuable feedback, and then go act on it, when it counts.
Man, you guys are it's amazing how you've done such an unbelievable job of scouting football IQ in players as well as physical talent. I mean, all of these guys, high level physical talent, or they wouldn't be competing or trying to compete in the National Football League or having a successful career of 5 or 10 years or whatever competing in the National Football League. You have to be physically talented to survive in this league, but to have the mental fortitude that you guys unearth with these players. You find guys that aren't just physical studs. They are mental giants as well. I mean, they're Mensa. They can understand the game at the highest possible level. And man, what an advantage and an edge that is. And it gives you such a feeling of confidence. I know as a football player, when I played with, teams that were like that. And it's like, you know what? This opponent is not going to be able to do anything that is going to get us off center. We're going to be totally on the same page with every single teammate, no matter what these guys do, because that's who we are. We know it. We understand it. We know why we're doing it. We know how we're doing it. And we know when they make an adjustment, we know what to do then. We know how to handle that. We know what to expect. I mean, we know what to go to. Those kind of things, getting those kind of questions answered is huge in a football game, particularly not necessarily having to come to the sideline to get it all sorted out. Those meetings when you guys come to the sideline and everybody goes to the bench, and those meetings are awesome, man. The information that's exchanged there is high level, boy. It's great football stuff. But you guys do it like just by, kind of signaling and talking maybe a little bit back and forth on the sideline. And the guys have to be sharp, man. Both coaches and players have to be on the same page immediately, to make those kind of adjustments that you guys make during the course of a game. That's not an easy thing to accomplish, is it?
No, I think there's a couple levels to that. It starts, as you referenced, with who are the players that you bring in. And that's where I think, organizationally, we do a really good job, between Duke and Trey and Steve and Mike and those guys up there and the scouts, like, they've done a really good job of recognizing, what our identity is offensively and who are the types of guys that we need to have. And then so really integrating that, not, and everybody has that as part of their process, but I think we do a really good job of that. And then also just, I think the organization deserves a lot of credit for dedicating the resources to keeping the group of guys that we have together, because time together, there's no substitute for time together. You could get a collection of extremely intelligent players, super high football IQ, but if they've never played together, that's not gonna show itself until they have a rapport, until they have a trust in one another. And so we have that established. And so, committing the resources to keep that and to really show that we value that organizationally, I think is a huge deal. And that's what allows us to, I think, really show a lot of the things that you're talking about. And I think that, we'll continue to do that, and we'll get better. And it doesn't mean there are not going to be bumps in the road, but you can solve those problems faster when you have the established rapport and you have the types of players that you're talking about.
There's a lot of trust that goes into having the success this football team has had, trust between the coaching staff and the players. And that trust is obviously at a high level here in Cincinnati. The players trust that you're putting them in the best possible situation to perform at the highest level to win football games. If they do what you are asking them to do, they know that they are going to be better than their opponent. They know that they're going to be able to handle anything that their opponent does, and going to be able to handle all the necessary adjustments that need to be made with respect to what the opponent does and what the coaches instruct the opponent to do. I mean, that high level of intelligence is great, and it's a great thing to have. Coaches as well. You have a high level of intelligence with the coaching staff with respect to, look, we have guys that can handle a lot. Let's give them a little bit more this week. Let's add to it. Let's add to the recipe here. Let's sweeten the pot. I mean, where's the break point, I guess, to adding on a weekly basis? Okay, I want to be able to have this as part of my game plan as well. In this particular formation, I want to be able to add this particular look to confuse the defense, to add to the defense. But like you say, not the defense not to have an answer for what I'm doing here, whether it be personnel, whether it be motion, whether it be formation, whatever it might be. How do you decide? All right, let's add to the equation, but let's not do too much. Let's make sure that guys are totally comfortable with what we're doing. Let's make sure that they can get to, like you mentioned, the best answer right away, and not hesitate. Hesitation makes fools of us all, as Paul Brown, once said, and I thought that was a great comment. And again, Paul Brown, his whole thing was, look, coaches, players, I don't mind if you want to have all kinds of different looks, all kinds of different ways to get to our plays. But I want to have a core of 5 plays that I feel we can take advantage of anybody, and I want to be able to run those plays. You can get to them different ways. You can personnel differences, motion, formation them to death, and change what they think might be coming. But I want to be able to hammer a handful of plays over and over and over again at people. Keep coming after them. Do you think there's merit in that?
Yeah, I do. To answer your question about how do you guard against, that point where it becomes too much.
Yeah.
I think you just need to, through the whole process, you have to maintain a really strong sense of who you are and what your players do well, because there are a lot of really good football plays in the world. And
right.
We do a good job studying the league. I really believe that. And so you're inundated at times with things that look like really good ideas. Things, hey man, we should do this. We should do this. We should do this. And on their face, they all have value. But you have to then be able to step back and ask yourself, okay, we have a limited amount of practice reps.
Yep.
We have different constraints every week based on our roster, based on our players. Who's feeling well? Who's going to practice this week? Who might miss the first couple of days of practice and then practice a little bit on Friday and playing the game on Sunday? How does that affect what you want to do? What are the strengths of the opponent, and where are the levels where we might be accepting of some risk in a matchup versus not, some matchup that we don't even want to deal with because they've got a dominant player. So all of those elements go into the decision-making process of what you ultimately choose to do. And I think the danger is if you forget those things, or you don't emphasize them enough, and you become enamored with a certain scheme that you see on tape, and then maybe try to force a square peg into a round hole if you don't necessarily have the pieces that are ideal for that scheme. And so that's the answer to the question of what you decide to go with and what you decide to not go with, is about always knowing yourself and being honest with yourself and being able to make an honest assessment of where you stand in that moment. And yeah, to your anecdote about Coach Brown and hey, we can get to the same 5 plays a million different ways.
Right.
That's really, it's another way of talking about what we talked about earlier. It's it's about making sure that the reps you've invested don't get thrown out if you don't call the play one week. Like those are still valuable reps. Let's make sure that we're taking advantage of the limited time that we have on the field, and making sure that those accumulated reps ultimately, the value of those will show themselves, because we're not trying to do a billion things. We're doing similar things over and over.
Yeah, that's a good comment. Not trying to do a billion things, and that's where, again, Paul Brown was so wise. Look, I don't care who we're playing against. We're going to be playing against a lot of good defenses. They're going to have different structures. They're going to have different personnel. They're going to line up differently from time to time. They're going to shift. They're going to blitz. They're going to have blitz packages that are going to vary. They'll be blitzing inside linebackers. They'll be blitzing outside edge people. They'll be blitzing safeties. We have a lot of things that we have to make sure that we take care of. That's why I like to have a core of 5, half a dozen plays. I want to be able to get to those plays, and I want to be able to run them over and over and over again, where we feel like we can beat any defense they line up against us in our sleep. And I want us to have that kind of confidence, that kind of comfort. When you're in that mindset, and he was not resistant totally to adding to that. I mean, he understood, like you said, they're smart too, and they got great players, and they can do a bunch of things. Sometimes they're going to try to take away some of your best stuff, and a lot of times they are going to try to do that, and sometimes they'll have some success doing it. Where's the I guess the baseline data to say, let's add this play to the package this week, or let's add this to the package in the passing game, maybe this in the running game. They're a little bit soft on the edges. We'll be able to destroy that safety in coverage when he tries to go cover 2. How do you decide when to add something, and not necessarily delete something to add something, but maybe just add another thing to the equation on a week-to-week basis?
I think again, it goes back to knowing yourself and knowing what you've put on tape and shown to the defense, and then you combine that with your study of the defense you're about to play, and you try to you make some educated guesses as to what you think they are going to try to do to you, and then now if you have some things that you could add to your package that'll help counteract that, that's when those additions become appropriate. And they're necessary, because you do have to evolve over the course of a season. It's a long season. All the tape's out there. There are no secrets, and you have to count on the fact that your opponent's hard at work studying you the same as you are studying them. And so that's where the cat and mouse game comes in. And then the other thing that I think we do a really good job of, and you and I have talked about this before, and I really give Zach Taylor so much credit for this, is I think we just our in-game communication and our flexibility and our willingness to take in new information that we gather during the game, and then go and attempt to utilize that to our advantage, whether that be tweaking something or maybe even creating something at halftime that wasn't originally in the game plan. Zach's openness to do that, that varies from coach to coach. Some are very, very resistant to that. We practice what we practice during the week, and that's what and I understand that philosophy to an extent.
Yeah.
But if you have the players who are smart and can handle it, and you have the coaches that can communicate and can get to something that you believe in, Zach's been very open to that, and it's really led to some very successful plays throughout our tenure together. And so I think that's a big part of it too. And another thing that helps that we've been together for so long.
Let's talk about another part of the equation here in terms of having a successful football team, an offensive football team, is leadership. You get great leaders offensively. At the quarterback position, may be the best I've ever seen in terms of being a leader. Not only is he a great player, maybe the best player I've ever seen, he's a phenomenal leader. I mean, he just gets it. And then, the head coach, you talk about his leadership skill set. The coordinators, you guys are phenomenal. I mean, Al Golden and Dan Pitcher, I'll put them up against anybody. I mean, this football team is blessed with phenomenal leadership in places that you have to have tremendous leadership. What makes a great leader?
I think there's a lot of things that go into it. Authenticity. If it's got to be real. Yeah. However, whatever your style is, it's got to come across as authentic and real. Because if you try to be someone you're not, that you can smell that immediately, and the message just gets lost.
Right.
Confidence, earned confidence that comes from having done the work and having committed the type of effort, time, blood, sweat, tears to the cause. And knowing that you've done that, that's what gives you the earned confidence to stand in front of a room and try to lead them, and I just think, along with the authenticity thing is just comfort, knowing who you are, and consistency. That's the thing. Like Zach's the most consistent coach I've ever been around, like crazily consistent, way more consistent than I know I am.
Right.
And so again, knowing yourself a little bit, like knowing the things you got to work on, but
right.
Consistency, knowing what you're going to get day in and day out. Those are the things that I think make good leaders. And leadership looks different for everyone. Joe Burrow is going to be a different leader than maybe some other quarterback's going to be. But as the quarterback, leadership is not a choice. Leadership comes with the territory. You don't get to decide whether you want to be a leader for the team. You are a leader. Right. That's just that. And he doesn't shy away from that, but you learn that at a very young age at that position. It's not like, I'm just going to do my job no, you're the leader, whether you like it or not. So how you go is how everyone else will go. What you accept is what everyone else will accept. What you demand is what everyone else will demand. And, he's grown in that role, and I think he'll continue to do that.
Well, talking about leadership and intelligence, the Bengals are blessed in both areas with multiple players, offensively, defensively, coaching staff. But like you mentioned, at the quarterback position, it's a must. And I think the Bengals have the best leader, the best player in the National Football League. I think the head coach is phenomenal, like you said, as a leader. I think the coordinators are the best in the National Football League in terms of leadership. I think the coaching staff as a whole is great with respect to leadership and knowing how to get the most out of their players, the buttons to push and all that sort of thing. I think the Bengals are extremely blessed in the leadership area. Let's hit on finally one last subject, quick start. People have been talking about it a lot, almost ad nauseum. Obviously, when the Bengals have not had seasons that turned out the way that they had anticipated or hoped during the course of the preseason, was a slow start when the regular season got underway. How do you prevent a slow start this year?
Well, I think that the first thing is the mentality is, how do we ensure a fast start? Which to me is a little different than the mentality of preventing a slow start.
I like that.
And I think that there's an active, aggressive mentality that comes when you frame it that way.
Yep.
We made little changes. We've changed when we're going to practice during training camp. That's the one that's been talked about a lot. Right there within that is a message to our guys of show up ready to go. There's no ramp up period in the morning where we're going to ease into some meetings and we're going to watch some installs and we're going to have a break and then we're going to walk through and then we're going to answer questions and then we're going to have some lunch and then we're going to get on the field. I mean, it makes sense to do it that way. Don't get me wrong. We've done it that way forever, and it's a sound way of teaching and installing and going. But there's just something a little bit different about showing up in the building and knowing your cleats are going to be in the grass 45 minutes later and you're rolling.
Right.
And so in and of itself, that's a message. Show up ready. And I think we've got guys. We're all here. With respect to our unit offensively, we're here and we're ready to work. And there should be a minimal amount of things that get in our way to becoming the best unit we can be, so that we are playing our best football week 1. And we know that we're going to have to navigate some things to get there, but that's what we're going to do. And that's the message. That's how we'll attack it. We've been together too long. Our players are too smart and too dedicated and too good to not play our best football from the jump. And that's what we're going to do.
Pumped up, Coach. Looking forward to it, man. When I hear you talk like you just did, answering that question, it makes me want to, let's go. Let's get going, man. Let's get this thing underway. And it's happening. It's happening here very, very shortly. We've got a few hours left before training camp is officially underway. And I think that this football team is the best team in the National Football League. I've said it on, many other shows, or whatever the case may be, podcasts, media, other media responsibilities, TV, radio responsibilities. I've said it a bunch of times, and I mean it. I'm going to say it again. This team is going to win the Super Bowl. This team is going to be a Super Bowl champion. I think they have the best quarterback in the National Football League. I think they have the best head coach in the NFL. I think the coordinators are the best in the National Football League. It's just, to me, it's 1 + 1 = 3. I just think that the synergistic effect of having not just physically talented players, but mentally adept football IQ, like we talked about, not just with the players, but the coaches as well. I just think that the blend, the chemistry, is as good as there is in the National Football League. How about it, Coach? We're looking at a Super Bowl.
We're going to make every effort to get there, and it starts with having a great training camp. And we believe it, man. I mean, yeah, it's this thing. It's a marathon, and that's the finish line. And we intend to be there, but you better take care of every step along the way, or you ain't getting there. So, like you said, I got a couple hours here. We're going to be in a team meeting, and we'll be ready to go.
I love it, Coach.
All right.
Say hey to everybody at that team meeting. And I love your comment. It's a marathon, man, because it is.
Congratulations again, Lap. Well deserved, man.
Coach, can't thank you enough. Appreciate your time. Go get him today, sir.
All right.
Dave Lapham here. While games are over for the season, there's no off season for In the Trenches with Dave Lapham or First Star Logistics. First Star Logistics gave away great prizes during the season, which will continue with exclusive content in the First Star Media Group YouTube channel. So please do me a favor, subscribe to In the Trenches, hit the like button, and visit the First Star Media Group YouTube channel for exclusive content and special giveaways.